The first step to stop overreacting and to stay in control is not about suppressing your emotions, nor is it about pretending to be calm when your heart is on fire. The first step is awareness. Awareness is the ability to notice what is happening inside of you before it turns into action, before it turns into words that you regret, before it becomes decisions that you cannot take back. Most people think that overreacting happens suddenly, like a flash of lightning, but in reality, it never comes suddenly. The storm is always building inside, little by little. The problem is not that the storm comes, it is that we do not notice it while it is forming. When someone says something to you, when life gives you a challenge, when an unexpected event shakes you, there is always a moment of choice. This moment is small, maybe just a second or two, but it exists. In that second, you can either react blindly or you can remain awake. And that 1 second is the difference between destroying peace or preserving it. I will tell you something that may change the way you see yourself. Your triggers are your teachers. If you overreact when someone criticizes you, it means that your sense of self is too fragile and depends on outside validation. If you overreact when you fail, it means that you have tied your worth to perfection. If you overreact when people do not treat you the way you expected, it means you are still chained to the illusion of control over others. So the first step is to observe your triggers without judgment. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" ask, "What is this teaching me?" Every reaction is a mirror, reflecting something about your inner state. Now let us talk about the practice of awareness, because awareness is not just an idea, it is a discipline. You must train yourself daily to recognize the rising waves of emotion before they become a tsunami. How can this be done? 1. Breath awareness. Whenever you feel the first signs of irritation, pause, take 1 slow, deep breath. Inhale gently through your nose, exhale slowly through your mouth. That single breath creates a small space between you and the reaction. In that space lies freedom. 2. Body awareness. Your body always signals before your mind explodes. Maybe your chest tightens, maybe your hands clench, maybe your jaw hardens. Learn to read these signals. The moment you notice them, say silently, "I am aware." This stops automatic reaction. 3. Thought awareness. Notice the first thought that comes when you are triggered. Maybe it says, "They don't respect me," or "I always fail," or "This is unfair." Instead of believing it immediately, observe it like clouds passing in the sky. You are not your thoughts. You are the watcher of your thoughts. When you practice this awareness every day, you slowly begin to catch yourself earlier and earlier. At first, maybe you only notice after you already overreacted. That is fine. Later, you will notice while you are overreacting, and eventually, you will notice before the reaction even begins. That is mastery. Think about a martial artist. A beginner notices the punch after it lands. An intermediate notices it while it is coming, but a master notices the movement of the opponent before the punch even begins. This is the same with emotions. To stop overreacting, you must become a master of noticing. Now let me ask you, how many times have you regretted your overreactions? Words spoken in anger that you wish you could take back. Decisions made in fear that harmed your future. Relationships damaged because you lost control for just a moment. Almost everyone carries scars of such moments. But understand this, regret is not punishment. Regret is a signal for awareness. The fact that you regret means you are capable of seeing what was wrong. And if you can see it, you can transform it. There is a story of a monk who was known for never losing his calm. One day a man insulted him, shouted at him, and even threw dirt at him. But the monk remained still, quiet and unshaken. Later his students asked, "Master, how could you remain so calm when he treated you like that?" The monk replied, "If someone tries to give you a gift and you do not accept it, to whom does the gift belong?" The students answered, "To the one who tried to give it." The monk said, "Exactly. His anger was his gift. I did not accept it, so it remained with him." This is the power of awareness. When you remain aware, you do not take the poison that others try to give you. You do not carry their anger, their disrespect, their negativity inside yourself. You see it for what it is, a reflection of them, not you. My friends, to stop overreacting, you must train yourself to remain the master of your inner world. You must build the habit of pausing, noticing, and choosing. If you fail, do not judge yourself. Just return again. Every failure is part of training. Every mistake is sharpening your awareness. So remember this keynote. Awareness is the first step to control. Without awareness, you are a slave of your emotions. With awareness, you become their master. The journey begins not with changing the world outside, but with noticing the storms within. When you are caught in the fire of reaction, when anger rises like a storm, when frustration shakes you, what is the one thing that can save you from destroying your peace? It is the pause. The pause is not weakness. The pause is not silence because you have no words. The pause is strength. It is the power of stillness in the middle of chaos. Most people believe that reacting quickly means they are strong, clever, or in control. But speed is not power. A quick reaction is usually a blind one, born from ego, from fear, from insecurity. True control is not in how fast you react, but in how deeply you respond. And response always requires a pause. Let us think of an archer. When the archer sees the target, he does not release the arrow immediately. First, he pulls the bowstring, he breathes, he aligns his vision. Only after he is steady, only after the target is clear, does he release. That is why his arrow hits the mark. But imagine an archer who shoots without pause, without alignment, without stillness. He will miss again and again. The pause creates precision. In life, the same principle applies. When you are about to overreact, that 1 second of pause is your bowstring being pulled back. It is the moment you prepare your energy, the moment you choose where your arrow will land. Without the pause, you will miss the target of peace, of wisdom, of strength. Now many people ask, "But Master, how do I practice the pause when my emotions feel so powerful? It feels impossible to stop." And my answer is, you cannot pause unless you train in stillness daily. Just as a soldier trains before the battle, you must train before the storm. If you wait until the storm comes, it will be too late. The body will already be full of adrenaline, the mind already captured by fear or anger. That is why daily stillness is essential. So let us speak of practices. Before you begin your day, sit quietly for just 5 minutes. Close your eyes, breathe deeply. Ask yourself, how do I want to carry myself today? Visualize yourself walking through challenges calmly. This is not imagination, it is mental training. When the real situation comes, your mind remembers the rehearsal. Throughout the day, whenever you move from one task to another, pause for 3 breaths. Before you open your phone, pause. Before you answer someone, pause. Before you walk into a room, pause. These micro pauses train your nervous system to remain calm and not jump immediately into reaction. When triggered, before saying or doing anything, commit to taking at least 1 conscious breath. This simple rule has saved countless relationships, careers, and moments of peace. 1 breath sounds small, but it is the bridge between reaction and wisdom. Now let me tell you a story. There was once a king who had a fiery temper. Whenever someone offended him, he would immediately punish them, sometimes with imprisonment, sometimes with execution. His court lived in fear of his reactions. One day, an old monk visited him and said, "Your Majesty, I can give you a gift that will make you greater than any king." The king asked, "What gift is that?" The monk handed him a small bell and said, "Whenever you feel anger rising, ring this bell 3 times before you act. The king laughed, but he respected the monk, so he accepted the bell. Days later, a servant accidentally spilled wine on the king's robe. Anger flared instantly, and he was about to shout, but then he remembered the monk. He rang the bell once. With each ring his anger softened. By the third ring his heart had calmed. He looked at the servant and realized this mistake does not deserve punishment. Over time, this simple pause transformed the king. His people no longer feared him but respected him. His kingdom became peaceful, all because he learned to pause. My friends, the pause is sacred. It is where transformation happens. It is the gap between stimulus and response, between anger and peace, between weakness and mastery. But let me also warn you, the pause is uncomfortable. Why? Because the ego hates silence. The ego wants to react quickly, to prove itself, to defend, to attack, to control. The pause feels like losing power, but in truth, the pause is where you gain the greatest power, self-mastery. Think of water. When water is rushing, it is loud, chaotic, and unclear. But when water becomes still, you can see your reflection in it. In the same way, when your mind is rushing, you cannot see clearly. But when you pause, when you become still, clarity arises. Some of you may say, but Master, if I pause, won't people think I am weak? Won't they take advantage of me? No, the opposite is true. People respect those who do not lose control. They admire those who remain calm under pressure. Think of the leaders, the mentors, the masters you respect. Are they the ones who overreact, or are they the ones who remain centered even in storms? Strength is silent, not loud. To stop overreacting, train yourself in the art of the pause. In the pause, you will see options you never saw before. In the pause, you can choose wisdom over impulse. In the pause, you reclaim your freedom. So, my friends, engrave this teaching in your heart. Mastery is not in reacting quickly. Mastery is in pausing deeply. The next time you feel anger, remember the archer, remember the bell, remember the water, and pause. My friends, let me share with you one of the greatest secrets about overreactions. Most of the time, you are not reacting to reality itself. You are reacting to the story you tell yourself about reality. A word is spoken and you think, they disrespected me. A mistake happens and you think, I am a failure. Someone disagrees with you and you think, they are against me. But is that the truth? Or is it just the story your mind creates in that moment? Overreactions are not born from the event itself. They are born from the interpretation of the event. The mind is a storyteller, and most often it is a dramatic storyteller. It exaggerates, it assumes, it imagines. That is why you lose control. Not because of what happened, but because of what you believed about what happened. Let us take an example. Imagine someone walks past you and does not greet you. Your mind immediately says, he ignored me. He must not like me. Maybe I did something wrong. And then anger or sadness arises. You overreact to this story. But what if the truth was that he simply didn't see you? Or maybe his mind was busy with his own problems. The reality is simple, but your story complicates it. This is the nature of the untrained mind. It adds unnecessary weight to simple events. So, how do we stop this cycle? How do we stay in control when our mind wants to create stories? The answer is conscious reframing. When you feel the first wave of reaction, pause and ask yourself, is this the truth or is this my interpretation? Do not trust the first voice in your head. It is usually the voice of the ego, the voice of fear, the voice of insecurity. Question it. Doubt it. Only then do you open the possibility for a wiser perspective. If you must create a story, why not choose a kinder one? Instead of, they ignored me, try perhaps they were distracted. Instead of, this failure proves I'm worthless, try this failure is my teacher. Instead of, they are against me, try they see things differently and maybe I can learn from it. The event remains the same, but the meaning changes, and meaning shapes emotion. Change the meaning, and you change the emotional storm. Sometimes, you don't need any story at all. Not everything needs to be interpreted. Not everything needs a label. Can you allow an event to just be what it is? Nothing more, nothing less? The ability to witness without interpretation is the highest form of freedom. Let me tell you a story from Zen tradition. A student asked his master, "Why do I feel so disturbed when people insult me?" The master replied, "Because you believe the story your mind tells you. When someone says, 'You are foolish,' your mind repeats it. 'I am foolish,' and you react. But what if instead you let the words pass like wind through the bamboo? The bamboo does not fight the wind. It bends, it moves, and it returns to stillness. This is the art of rewriting the story or letting go of the story altogether." Now, some of you may wonder, "But Master, how do I practice this in everyday life? When I am triggered, I don't just remember these teachings." The answer is training. Just as a musician trains fingers to move across the instrument, you must train your mind to recognize stories. You can do this through reflection at the end of the day. Sit quietly and recall the moments when you overreacted. Ask yourself, what story was I believing in that moment? Write it down, then ask, what other story could I have chosen? This practice is called cognitive reframing in psychology, but in the language of wisdom it is called transforming perception. And perception is everything. Because here is the truth. No one makes you overreact, not people, not circumstances. They may trigger, but the reaction is born inside you, shaped by the meaning you give. If you master meaning, you master reaction. Think of a fire. What makes a fire burn stronger? Fuel. In the same way, what makes overreaction grow stronger? The stories you add as fuel. This always happens to me. People never respect me. I can't take this anymore. These are not facts, they are fuel. Remove the story and the fire weakens. There is a saying, pain is inevitable but suffering is optional. Pain may come from life's challenges, but suffering is what your mind adds on top of it. Overreactions are simply suffering multiplied. To stay in control, you must separate pain from story. Let me ask you, how many of your past overreactions now look small, even laughable? Things you thought were the end of the world, but today they mean nothing. This shows you that the story was temporary. If it does not matter in 5 years, why let it control you today? This shift in perspective is power. Another practice I give my students is this: whenever you feel yourself overreacting, ask, will this matter in 1 week, 1 month, 1 year? Most of the time the answer is no. Immediately the intensity softens. You remember that the story is smaller than it feels. But do not misunderstand me. I am not asking you to suppress your emotions. Emotions are natural. What I am asking is to not let emotions be ruled by false stories. Feel them, but do not feed them with the mind's exaggerations. Let me end this keynote with an image. Imagine you are sitting by a river and leaves are floating past. Each leaf is a thought, a story. Some are heavy, some are sharp, some are sweet. You can choose to grab one, hold it, and let it pull you into the water, or you can simply watch it float away. That is the difference between overreaction and control. So remember this: you cannot always control what happens, but you can always control the story you tell yourself about it. Rewrite the story and you rewrite your reaction. Rewrite your reaction and you rewrite your life. My friends, let me tell you something that many people misunderstand. Staying in control is not about never feeling emotions. It is not about becoming cold, distant, or emotionless. No, staying in control is about developing the inner strength to handle emotions without letting them handle you. Think of a powerful river. When it is uncontained, it floods the land, destroys crops, and sweeps away homes. But when that same river is disciplined with channels and banks, it gives life, it waters fields, turns turbines, and sustains entire cities. The water is the same, but discipline transforms destruction into power. In the same way, your emotions are not your enemy. Anger, sadness, frustration, fear, they are powerful energies. If left undisciplined, they destroy peace, relationships, and opportunities. But if guided with wisdom, those same emotions become sources of growth, clarity, and even compassion. This is why I say emotions are fire. Discipline is the container. So let us explore how to build this discipline, how to develop inner strength that prevents overreaction and keeps you in control. Emotional discipline begins with self-observation. Most people are quick to observe others, what they said, how they behaved, where they were wrong, but few take the time to observe themselves. Ask yourself daily, how did I react today? What triggered me? Where did I lose control? What was I feeling in that moment? Write these answers down. This is not about judging yourself, it is about studying yourself, because you cannot discipline what you do not understand. Imagine a warrior who goes into battle without knowing the strength of his opponent. He will surely lose. But the warrior who has studied his enemy, who knows his patterns, who recognizes his weaknesses, that warrior is prepared. Your emotions are like this. If you know your triggers, you are prepared to face them with discipline. Do not underestimate the role of the body. Overreactions are not only mental, they are physical. Anger increases heart rate, tightens the chest, floods the body with adrenaline. Anxiety makes the hands sweat, the stomach churn, the breath shallow. So, train your body as much as your mind. Practice breathing techniques. Inhale deeply, exhale slowly. This regulates the nervous system and prevents emotional hijack. Exercise regularly. A strong body reduces stress and gives you greater resilience. Practice stillness postures, meditation, tai chi, qigong, so that your body learns calmness as its default state. When the body is calm, the mind follows. Words are dangerous weapons when thrown in the heat of emotion. How many relationships have been scarred, not by actions but by words spoken in anger? Once spoken, they cannot be unsaid. So discipline your tongue. When you feel the fire rising, commit to silence. Do not speak until you are calm. A wise silence is always more powerful than a foolish outburst. There is an old saying, when angry, count to 10 before speaking. When very angry, count to 100. This ancient wisdom reminds us words spoken in reaction become chains. Words spoken with discipline become tools of peace. Most overreactions come because we take things too personally. Someone criticizes your work and you think they are attacking your worth. Someone forgets to call and you think they don't care. Someone disagrees and you think they disrespect you. But let me tell you, most of the time people's behavior is about them, not about you. Their stress, their mood, their upbringing, their pain, these shape their actions far more than you realize. Emotional discipline means learning not to carry every arrow that is shot in your direction. If a stranger calls you a fool in a language you do not understand, would you feel insulted? No, because the words have no meaning to you. Then why do you give so much meaning to other insults? Discipline means you choose what has meaning and what does not. Discipline is not built in one day. You cannot expect to stay calm in storms if you do not practice stillness in daily life. It is the small daily choices that build your inner fortress. Every time you pause instead of reacting, you add one brick to the wall of your strength. Every time you breathe instead of shouting, you add another brick. Over time, this wall becomes unshakable. But if you neglect practice, the wall weakens. So, commit to consistency. Even if you fail one day, return the next. Even if you overreact, Use it as fuel to strengthen your practice. A single drop may seem small, but with time, drops fill the ocean. Let me share with you a story. A disciple once asked his master, "How do I develop emotional strength?" The master pointed to a blacksmith hammering iron. The disciple watched as the blacksmith struck the metal again and again, shaping it with fire and blows. The master said, "Do you see? The metal is strong not because it avoids fire, but because it passes through fire and is disciplined by it." In the same way, life will test you. People will offend you. Challenges will burn you. But these are not punishments. They are your blacksmith's fire. Every time you choose discipline, overreaction, you are being forged into steel. Now, some people misunderstand discipline as suppression. They think, if I am disciplined, I must push my feelings down. No. Suppression is dangerous. It makes emotions stronger, like a volcano building pressure. Discipline is different. Discipline is acknowledging the emotion but guiding it wisely. For example, anger can destroy, but it can also protect. A parent's anger at injustice can drive them to fight for their children's future. Sadness can paralyze, but it can also deepen compassion. Fear can weaken, but it can also sharpen caution. Discipline means you take the raw energy of emotion and channel it into constructive action. This is why emotional discipline is not about killing emotions. It is about training them, like a wild horse, untamed. The horse throws the rider, but trained, the horse carries the rider across great distances. My friends, understand this truth. Strength is not in never falling. It is in training yourself to rise with control every time you fall. Emotional discipline is built step by step, choice by choice, breath by breath. So remember this keynote. Inner strength is not given, it is built through emotional discipline. Every time you pause, every time you breathe, every time you choose wisdom over impulse, you are building this strength. And one day, you will look back and realize storms still come, but they no longer move you. That is mastery. That is freedom. My dear friends, now we come to the final teaching. You have learned awareness. You have learned the pause. You have learned to rewrite the story in your mind. You have practiced emotional discipline. But there is one more truth to understand. Mastery is not a moment, it is a lifetime path. To stop overreacting and to stay in control is not something you achieve once and then forget. It is a way of living, a way of walking through the world. It is a lifelong practice of rising above reaction and choosing conscious response. Some people imagine that once they practice long enough, nothing will ever upset them again. This is an illusion. Even the greatest masters still face challenges, still feel the pull of emotions, still encounter moments of weakness. The difference is not that the triggers vanish, but that the master knows how to meet them. The ordinary person drowns in the wave. The master rides the wave. The ocean is the same, but the skill is different. So do not wait for life to stop testing you. Instead, prepare yourself to meet the tests with calmness. Expect that people will still criticize, that life will still disappoint, that emotions will still arise, but let these no longer control you. When you stop expecting a stormless sky, you stop being shaken by the rain. Ask yourself, what kind of person do I want to become? Do you want to be known as someone who loses control at every small difficulty, or as someone who carries strength, calmness, and clarity wherever they go? Perspective changes everything. When you live for small comfort, every inconvenience feels huge. But when you live for higher purpose, small problems no longer disturb you. Think of an eagle. When it flies high, it sees the mountain, the river, the forest. From that perspective, a barking dog on the ground is nothing. In the same way, when you live with a higher purpose, growth, service, wisdom, the little triggers of life appear small, you rise above them. Environment shapes reaction. If you are always surrounded by noise, anger, gossip, and negativity, Your nervous system stays on edge, ready to overreact. But if you choose an environment of calmness, spending time in nature, practicing silence, surrounding yourself with mindful people, your mind learns peace naturally. This does not mean escaping the world, it means creating balance. Even a warrior returns to the temple to recharge, even a master seeks quiet to strengthen clarity. Make your home, your routines, your friendships into places of peace. They will support your control when storms come. This may surprise you, but compassion is one of the strongest shields against overreaction. When someone insults you, instead of reacting, ask what pain must they be carrying to act this way. When someone fails you, ask what weakness in them caused this mistake. Compassion does not excuse bad behavior, but it prevents you from taking it personally. When you see others as human, flawed, struggling, imperfect, like you stop reacting with anger and start responding with understanding, and that is true control. Mastery is like a muscle. If you stop training it, it weakens. So make calmness your daily discipline. Breathe consciously every morning. Reflect every evening. Watch your thoughts. Notice your triggers. Learn from every overreaction. Do not see failure as defeat. See it as feedback. Every time you lose control, ask, what can I learn from this? The lesson you take today prevents the same mistake tomorrow. This is lifelong training. Now let me share a story. There was once a student who asked his master, how long will it take me to master control of my emotions? The master replied, 10 years. The student said, but if I practice with full dedication day and night, how long then? The master smiled and said, 20 years. The student was confused. Why? More if I give more effort, the master explained. Because when you hurry, your effort is full of impatience, and impatience itself is lack of control. Mastery cannot be rushed, it must be lived, step by step, breath by breath. This is the truth of mastery. It is not achieved by force, but by patience. Every day you take one step. Some days you fall, some days you rise. But as long as you walk, you are on the path. Why is this path important? Why should we strive to stop overreacting? Because reaction is slavery. When you react blindly, you are a prisoner of others' actions, of circumstances, of your own uncontrolled mind. But when you remain in control, you are free. No one can steal your peace unless you hand it to them. No event can shake your clarity unless you allow it. True freedom is not found outside, it is found inside, in the ability to remain calm, steady, and awake no matter what happens. Imagine living a life where insults do not disturb you, where failures do not break you, where challenges do not control you. Imagine walking through the world with unshakable calmness, like a mountain that stands through storms. This is possible. This is the fruit of long-term mastery. So, my friends, the final lesson is this. Mastery is not about never feeling emotions, it is about never being enslaved by them. Overreactions will always try to rise. But you are no longer a prisoner. You are the master. You have awareness. You have the pause. You have the power to rewrite your story. You have discipline. And you have the commitment to walk this path for life. Live above reaction. Choose peace over impulse. Build strength that no storm can shake. This is the way of true control. This is the path of freedom.